By the end of this video, you will have seen 5 different times that women athletes humbled men. And while some of the athletes mentioned today you will likely know, I bet there are a few you have never heard of. And after example number 3, I'll show you why women are fed the up and why men could use some humbling. First up is WNBA star Rickea Jackson. Rickea was asked in an interview,
best NBA player.
I don't watch the wnba.
This made a lot of us happy because so many times in sports the default is men. Like if I were to Google which basketball team is ranked number 1, only answers regarding men pop up. And it's not like if I keep scrolling I'll see the WNBA or women's college. No, it's literally just men over and over and over. And that's why Rickea saying the MNBA shows us that, hey, the NBA, the National Basketball Association, shouldn't just by default be referring to men, but rather that we should clarify it's the MNBA that we're talking about. Next, at number 2 is Billie Jean King and the Battle of the Sexes. Billie was a phenomenal tennis player and she was at the peak of her game around the 1970s. But then this guy,
I hear this agitating, grating voice,
named Bobby, thought that he could beat her. Mind you, although Bobby was elite during his time, he had been retired for over 10 years at this point, and he was 55 years old. Meanwhile, our girl Billie was going into her 7th year in a row being ranked number 1. Where men get the audacity from, I don't know. And leading up to the event, Bobby kept making misogynistic comments such as how she's a woman and they don't have the emotional stability to win, and another comment that said women belong in the bedroom and kitchen, in that order. But what's even crazier is that just 3 months prior, Billie had threatened to boycott the US Open if the women and men champions were not paid the same, which led to the tournament becoming the first major tennis tournament ever to offer equal prize money. And the girls are still giving her flowers to this day. So the timing of this challenge felt like a slap in the face considering what Billie had been protesting for just a few months earlier. But with $100,000 on the line, she beat this dude in 3 straight sets. Iconic if you ask me. Next, at number 3 is Caitlin Clark and the MNBA All-Star Weekend. I had to, y'all, I had to. See, for years, men's basketball has had great ratings, but the past few years, less and less people are tuning in to watch the men's All-Star Weekend, with this year's ratings going down again, which is all of a sudden when the men started inviting the women to come compete with them. But I thought nobody watched it, but y'all need us now. We saw this with Sabrina versus Steph, and this year they tried to ride the coattails of basketball star Caitlin Clark, but she said no, claiming she just wants to wait for the WNBA's event. But what's crazy is someone has been blaming the men's All-Star Weekend downfall on her, which is insane because she doesn't even go here. But now, before going on to number 4, which is actually one of my favorite moments in sports history ever, it's important to know why women athletes humbling men is something to be happy for and proud of. And that's because women for years have been fighting, whether that's fighting for equal pay, like when the men's US soccer team would be paid a bonus for losing, while the women's team actually had to, win to make money. But even when they did win, they only earned $1,350 compared to the men's $17,625. But they've also been fighting for equal opportunities in general, like how the men competing in the NCAA D1 March Madness tournament could earn money, but the women couldn't earn money during the tournament up until this year. Or maybe they've been fighting for equal TV coverage, because a study done by the Women's Sports Foundation showed women's sports only received 1.6% of airtime on network television compared to 96.3% for men's sports. And honestly, a lot of times these women athletes are just fighting for equal support, like when women basketball players spoke up and went viral for showing the merch the March Madness tournament gave to the men versus the women, along with the training facilities they were each provided. So frankly, these issues are not new and women are no longer playing nice about it. This is your reminder that if equality in women's sports upsets you, then what you actually value is men having privilege. Because when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Next, at number 4 is Mo'ne Davis. Mo'ne Davis was a pitcher during her time in Little League, and she made history several different ways. Not only was she the first girl to ever win a Little League baseball game and the first African American girl to ever play in the league, but she was also the first girl to ever throw a shutout in the league's history, which means the opposing team did not score even one run on her that game. But what's even cooler is that she became the first little leaguer ever to make it on the cover of Sports Illustrated, as not even any of the boys had done that before. And she made all of this history in a male-dominated sport, y'all. She is literally that girl. Also, if you guys enjoy my content, make sure to check out my other videos. I'll link it at the end of this video. But finally, at number 5 is women in rec centers. And I actually have 2 examples for this. The first is Anjanae, who has gone viral numerous times for going to rec centers and hooping against men who constantly try her. And in this clip, she interviews the guys beforehand and then she proceeds to go off and scores several times on him. And another example of men thinking they are doing something is when a dude approached Olympic medalist Lena saying he was a professional athlete, and she said she bet she's faster, and he and others wanted to try their luck, but it's safe to say they should have stayed in their lane. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. Bye, y'all.